Have you ever thought that a man's real feelings for you, his deepest emotions, might not be hidden in his words at all, but in something far more honest and revealing, how he behaves in bed? It might sound unusual, maybe even a little bold, but this idea is actually rooted in one of the most respected psychological teachings of the last century. Carl Jung, the Swiss psychiatrist who changed the way we understand the mind, believed that love is not just an emotion. It's a force, unconscious, instinctive, and raw, that shows itself in moments of deep vulnerability. In other words, the truth of how a man feels about you isn't always something he can say out loud, but it can often be seen, especially in those silent, exposed moments of intimacy. That's why today we're going to look at 4 unconscious behaviors that, according to Jungian psychology, reveal not just desire, but devotion. These aren't habits or tricks. They're emotional revelations. And if you've ever found yourself wondering, is this real or is it just sex? These signs will help you see more clearly. Let's start with the first and perhaps the most haunting sign: deep eye contact during intimacy. At first glance, it may seem simple or even obvious. But what really happens when a man can't stop looking at you in those intimate moments? When his gaze lingers longer than it needs to, not out of lust, but out of something quieter and deeper. Jung once said the eyes are the windows to the soul, and that's not just a poetic phrase. In the unconscious mind, the gaze is like a direct signal of truth. Words can lie, actions can pretend. But the eyes, they expose the self. A man who is truly in love might not even realize how long he's looking at you. He doesn't plan it or try to do it on purpose. It just happens naturally. And in that moment, he's not only seeing your body, he's showing you his own emotional truth, his need for closeness, his trust, and his surrenders. I used to think that long eye contact during sex was just a part of passion or ego, maybe even a sign of dominance or visual attraction. But I don't think that anymore. When a man keeps his gaze locked on you while he's most vulnerable, skin to skin, it's not about what he sees. It's about him allowing himself to be seen. Through his eyes, he's saying, "This is me. I have nothing to hide from you." And whether he's aware of it or not, that's a quiet but powerful act of love. But let's not over-romanticize it too quickly. Not every intense stare means love. That's why this sign needs to be understood together with what Jung called the anima, the inner feminine aspect of the male psyche. When a man's anima is awakened, he doesn't seek control or conquest, he seeks connection and understanding. That's when his gaze changes. It becomes less about ownership and more about presence. It's subtle, almost sacred, and unforgettable. Now here's the emotional contrast. What does it mean when a man avoids your eyes during intimacy? Maybe he's shy, maybe he's distracted, but according to Jung, it could also mean something deeper. It might reveal a part of himself that is guarded, a self he isn't ready to show. Avoiding eye contact doesn't always mean indifference. It can also be a kind of protection, a fear of being seen too clearly. It can show that love, if it exists, is still struggling with hidden feelings of shame, guilt, or emotional wounds. That struggle between connection and avoidance is the real battlefield of intimacy, where love either grows or fades. And yet, when two people hold each other's gaze, even for a few seconds, something rare happens. The world seems to fade away. Time slows. The ego disappears. And in that stillness, without a single word, he might be telling you something he can't say. You're not just a body to me. You're home. You're someone my soul knows. And that realization, as moving as it is only the beginning. Because what happens next, when eye contact turns into action, can reveal even more. So what does it mean when in the most intimate moments, a man seems more focused on your pleasure than his own? Not in a showy way, not to impress, but as if it comes naturally, like he can't help it. According to Jungian thought, This isn't just kindness. It's a deep, unconscious act of devotion. When a man truly loves, he doesn't have to try to put you first. Something inside him, something ancient and instinctive, simply takes over. This brings us to the second sign, selfless giving during intimacy. Jung often talked about what he called the sacred union, the merging of opposites, masculine and feminine, body and soul, mind and emotion. In real love, these don't just meet, they blend. A man in lust wants release. A man in love wants unity. He becomes tuned to you, your breath, your rhythm, your needs. He learns your pleasure not through questions, but through quiet attention, through the way his body listens to yours. And when that happens, his pleasure becomes intertwined with yours. You'll notice it in the smallest gestures, the way he slows down when you need time, the way he softly asks, "Was that good for you?" Not from insecurity, but from genuine care. You'll feel it when he remembers what made you tremble last time and brings it back, not to show off, but to honor what you share. He begins to care less about how he performs and more about how you feel. That shift from performance to presence is where love truly lives. And here's the deeper truth. This kind of giving is more than physical. It's healing. A man who puts your pleasure first may be someone who has faced his own inner shadows, his shame, his fear of not being enough, his hidden insecurities. Jung believed that intimacy uncovers our repressed selves, the shadow parts of us we try to hide. When a man has faced those inner battles, when he's no longer ruled by the need to prove himself, something transforms inside him. He gives not to win love, but because he already feels it. But it's also important to pause and understand that selfless behavior can sometimes be misunderstood. Some men give too much, not from love, but from fear of rejection or of not being valued. That's why awareness matters. True giving is calm, not desperate. It flows naturally, not as an effort to earn approval. So when a man moves from his ego to his empathy, from his need to impress to his desire to connect, that's when intimacy becomes more than just physical. It becomes emotional truth. It becomes the language through which his unconscious speaks. Because love, in Jung's view, isn't a perfect performance. It's an act of integration, a dance between strength and softness, control and surrender. It's where the mind and the body, the masculine and the feminine, finally meet, not as opposites, but as reflections of one another. And when that happens, when his gaze, his touch, and his actions align, you're not just witnessing affection, you're witnessing transformation. What if he's simply good at sex? What if he's just well-trained, experienced, and knows what to do? The real answer isn't in how skilled he is, but in the tone that lives beneath his actions. Is his touch consistent or calculated? Does his care continue outside the bedroom, or does it fade the moment the pleasure ends? Because love doesn't clock out when the lights turn off. The real sign of love is found in how his attentiveness flows naturally afterward, not as a duty, but as a quiet need to make sure you still feel seen, safe, and cherished. His body language, his tone, the way he moves or speaks afterward, they all reveal one truth. To him, you are sacred. There's something almost spiritual in that kind of connection. It's not just physical pleasure anymore. It becomes something deeper, a moment of spirit meeting spirit. Jung described this as the union of masculine and feminine energies, when the one who usually pursues learns to surrender, and both partners are changed by that exchange. This is not a man trying to prove how good he is. This is a man who has seen your worth, and through giving to you, remembers his own tenderness, his ability to love without defense or demand. Yet there's one more layer left open, something still humming beneath the surface. Because what happens after the giving? When the act ends, when the breath softens, when silence fills the room, what happens then? That's where the third sign appears, and it might be the most emotionally revealing of all. It's easy to get lost in what happens during sex, the passion, the intensity, the surrender. But the real truth often shows itself afterward, when everything quiets down, when there's nothing left to perform, when it's just two people stripped of every layer, physically and emotionally. This is the third sign: a man's openness and tenderness after intimacy. What a man chooses to do once the moment ends says more about his heart than any "I love you" whispered during it. Jung believed that the masks we wear, the roles we play in daily life, fall away most easily in moments of vulnerability. Intimacy isn't just a physical act, it's a doorway into the unconscious. And when a man truly loves, his behavior after sex becomes like an emotional truth serum. He might not realize it, but in that gentle afterglow, when his ego is quiet and his heart still open, he shows you exactly who he is. You'll notice it in the way he holds you longer than needed, not to claim you, but to stay grounded in you, as if your closeness brings him back to something real. You'll hear it in his softer voice, the slower rhythm of his words, the way he might suddenly share a story or a thought he's never spoken before. Maybe he traces his fingers along your skin, not out of habit, but as a way of reminding himself that you're still there, still real. Or maybe he simply rests his forehead against yours, breathing with you in silence, saying everything without saying anything at all. These quiet gestures aren't random. They are signs of emotional safety. Jung called this the integration phase, the point where the light and dark, the masculine and feminine, the body and soul begin to merge. A man who stays emotionally present after sex isn't just offering comfort. He's allowing himself to remain open, unguarded. That kind of vulnerability is rare because most men are taught that strength means detachment, that to be masculine is to pull away before things get too close. So when he doesn't retreat, when he lingers instead of distancing himself, when he chooses to stay instead of leaving, he's breaking a pattern that's been ingrained in him. That's not just affection, that's courage, that's defiance against old emotional walls. But not every man can stay there easily. Some men disappear emotionally after sex, not because they don't care, but because they don't know how to remain open. Their defenses return quickly. Their mind rebuilds the armor. They shift from softness back to safety. For a woman who's emotionally connected, that sudden absence can feel painful, like the silence that follows a song you weren't ready to end. That's why when a man doesn't vanish, when he stays with you in the stillness, it's powerful. It means he's not just physically present, but emotionally choosing to remain. Even after the peak moment has passed, he's still there, still connected, still real. And in that closeness lies a deeper vulnerability. Because when a man truly loves you, staying after sex isn't just about comfort, it's a confession. He might start to share pieces of himself he normally hides, childhood memories, private fears, small insecurities. He might seem softer, smaller, more human than you've ever seen him. And that's the proof. He trusts you not only with his body, but with his soul. That's not seduction, that's surrender. I once believed that emotional openness after intimacy was something you had to earn, that a man only shared that side once he was serious. But I understand now that it's not about time, it's about trust. And trust doesn't always come through words. Sometimes it's shown in silence, in the way he reaches for you in the dark, or whispers something meaningless just to keep the connection alive a few moments longer. Those small things aren't strategies. They're signs of the unconscious surfacing, of the soul quietly saying, "This is safe, I can stay here." But the body has its own way of speaking too. It has its own language, a rhythm, a movement, a pattern that we don't consciously control. And when love is genuine, that rhythm doesn't end with climax. It deepens, becomes something shared, something sacred. Which brings us to the fourth and final sign, There's a kind of intimacy that no words can describe. It's silent yet powerful, a current that moves between two people who've stopped trying to impress and have simply begun to exist together. When love is true, when the connection runs deeper than reason, it's not loud, it's not planned, it just is. This final sign is the hardest to see but the easiest to feel: synchronized movement and unconscious mirroring. You don't plan to breathe at the same time. You don't think about adjusting your position together. You don't plan the rhythm or the size or the moments of stillness. They just happen. Your bodies fall into the same pattern, like a dance you both somehow already know. Jung called this participation mystique, a kind of ancient connection where the line between self and other begins to fade. When a man is deeply bonded with you, even his nervous system begins to align with yours. His breathing, his heartbeat, his movement, all start to match yours without either of you trying. And this isn't just poetic, it's biological. It's what happens when two people reach a level of emotional safety so deep that the body itself joins the conversation. In those moments, it's not about dominance or submission, giving or taking. It's about unity. It's about the simple, wordless truth that for a few seconds, or maybe forever, two people have become one shared experience of love. Scientists now call this limbic synchrony, the moment when two people's inner worlds quietly align. Your heartbeats begin to fall into rhythm, your tiny movements reflect one another, your energy flows together without either of you trying. But what's most revealing isn't just this physical harmony, it's the deep emotional safety that makes it possible. Because this kind of mirroring can't happen when walls are up or when trust is missing. It only unfolds when both people's unconscious minds feel safe enough to relax, to stop controlling, and to simply connect. You'll notice it in small, almost invisible ways. The way his hand finds your waist at the exact moment you start to move closer. The way your breathing turns into the same slow rhythm like a shared lullaby. The way silence between you feels full, not empty. A man who mirrors you unconsciously isn't copying. He's resonating. His body is responding to yours naturally, without thought. And that resonance is the truest proof that he doesn't see you as separate. He feels you as part of himself. Not in a way that's possessive, but in a way that feels sacred, like coming home to something ancient and whole. Now we return to the question that's been quietly waiting since the beginning. Why do some loves feel like they've existed forever, even before the first touch? Why does a single glance, a sigh, or a quiet moment feel less like discovery and more like recognition? Jung believed it's because when a man falls deeply in love, he isn't just meeting you. He's meeting a reflection of his own inner feminine, his anima. And in that reflection, everything feels strangely familiar. That familiarity gives birth to a kind of unspoken synchronization, not just in body, but in emotion, thought, and breath. Your body becomes a memory he didn't know he carried. Your presence awakens something ancient and inevitable in him. That's why your movements align, why you seem to know each other's rhythms without ever speaking. But there's a deeper reason this matters. Synchronization isn't just romantic, it's revealing, because it cannot be faked. Unlike gestures or sweet words, it bypasses the mind completely. It comes straight from the unconscious. When his body moves in tune with yours, when his stillness rises as yours does, when his hand reaches you before you even ask, it means something both simple and profound. He isn't performing. He's present, fully present, not just physically, but emotionally and spiritually. His whole being is meeting yours. That's why casual encounters, no matter how skilled, rarely reach this level of connection. In those situations, the body stays cautious. The nervous system is alert. Each person moves to their own rhythm, careful not to cross invisible lines. The body performs, but it doesn't remember. The heart participates, but it doesn't surrender. But when love is real, those barriers fade. The body stops pretending. It begins to remember. That's the beauty of mirroring. It's not about imitation. It's about mutual surrender. It's the psyche quietly saying, "This is safe. This is whole. This is home." And just like that, the four signs come together, not as checklists to judge love by, but as experiences you can feel. Deep eye contact, selfless giving, emotional openness after, wordless mirroring. They don't demand attention, they whisper. But when they appear, you don't need to question them. You feel them deep inside, in your bones, in your quiet knowing. Because true love doesn't always declare itself with grand gestures or perfect words. It shows itself in the spaces between them. It lives in the pauses, in the way his eyes soften when he looks at you, in the way his touch listens rather than takes. When these signs are there, he doesn't just say he loves you, he shows it, often without even realizing it. But now, the question turns gently back to you. Because love isn't only about recognizing signs in someone else. It's also about listening to your own intuition when those signs appear or when they don't. Before we close, there's one final truth Jung pointed toward, one essential reality hidden beneath all of this. At the heart of every gesture, every kiss, every moment of closeness lies one simple truth. The body never lies about love. Carl Jung didn't describe love as just a feeling. He saw it as a psychological event, a moment when the unconscious speaks through instinct, touch, gaze, and surrender. That's what makes these four signs so powerful. They aren't techniques or behaviors meant to impress. They are confessions from the soul. They speak of alignment, not performance. When a man holds your gaze during intimacy, when he focuses on your pleasure before his own, when he stays tender and open afterward, and when his body naturally falls into rhythm with yours, he's not just showing affection, he's showing integration. His inner and outer selves have aligned. His love isn't just an emotion anymore, it has become a state of being. But perhaps the most important realization is this: if he doesn't show all these signs, it doesn't automatically mean he doesn't love you. Sometimes it means something else entirely. It might point to emotional unavailability, fear, or disconnection from his own inner world. And that doesn't make him bad or broken. It makes him human, still learning, still growing, still trying to map the landscape of his own psyche. That's why awareness matters so much. When you understand these signs, not as tests, but as quiet indicators, you begin to see more clearly where you stand, not through what he says, but through what his unconscious reveals. So now the mirror turns toward you. Does your partner show these signs? Have you ever felt that silent harmony, the effortless care, the tenderness that lingers after, the sense that this isn't just desire but home? Or have you felt their absence, and in that silence found yourself asking questions your heart has been carrying for too long? Share what you felt. Speak it aloud. Because love, when explored with honesty and depth, becomes not only something we feel, it becomes something we finally understand. And if this reflection moved something inside you, if it gave you a moment of clarity or comfort, don't let it fade. Stay with it. Stay curious. Subscribe, share, keep exploring with us, because this is only the beginning. Next, we'll turn to the other side of Jung's vision, the shadows, the red flags and hidden psychological patterns that can reveal when a connection feels deep but is actually built on illusion, projection, or emotional emptiness. If you're ready to understand not just what real love feels like, but how to recognize when it's incomplete, let us know. Until then, remember this: the unconscious always speaks. You just have to listen to what happens in the silence between words. That's where truth lives. That's where love either blooms or quietly fades.